everyone, and welcome to class. For today, there are no props needed, but I do have a blanket. Towards the end of class, we'll be working into frog pose, and sometimes having a blanket underneath your knees just allows that pose to be a little bit more accessible, a little bit easier to enter and exit the pose. So you don't need it, but you can have one nearby if that sounds like something that you may want at that point in class. Otherwise, we're going to be working our way into child's pose, getting started. But we're going to do just that. We're going to work our way into it. So go ahead and bring the knees slightly wider than the hips, but keep the toes tucked. And hands just beyond the front of the shoulders. And start to slowly sit the weight back in towards your hips. Bring your hips towards your heels. And then come out of that. And then just slowly starting to work our way into the soles of the feet, into the hips. And just shifting your weight forward and back, coming in and out of that space. With every repetition, forward and back. Slowly starting to walk the hands towards the top of the mat, stretching through the sides of the body, through the armpits. Working your way into the muscles along the spine. And just taking these movements nice and slow. Lingering in any space that feels good. Maybe shifting a little bit side to side as you settle a little bit deeper into the hips. With every round, making your shape maybe a little bit bigger. And by that, we're walking the fingertips maybe a little bit closer towards the top of the mat. Maybe bring the knees a little bit wider. Maybe they're making their way into that space on their own. And as those knees find their way towards the edges of the mat, untuck the toes and officially settle into your child's pose. As you slowly bring the hips down towards the heels, feeling the tailbone tuck under slightly. Find a gentle grip of the mat with the palm of your hand, with your fingertip. So you can create even more space within the rib cage, within the side of the body. And slowly shimmy your hips side to side as you wiggle and settle the torso between the thighs. Forehead rests onto the earth. And as you settle into your space, find your breath. Not only breathing into the belly, but breathing into the back body, into the back of the rib cage. And to create a little bit more space, we're going to follow a breathing pattern to a count of 4. So on your next inhale, seal the lips, go ahead and deep belly breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale all the way out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Follow that inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Nice and slow for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. And pause. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep inhale to that count of 4. Find that pause. And open the mouth. This time exhale all the way out. Seal the lips one more round. Deep inhale. Find that pause. And then open the mouth. Exhale all the way out. Go ahead and seal the lips once more. Find the natural rhythm of your breath, maybe with a little bit more space. And then go ahead, drop the forearms, gaze forward, snake the body up and through, coming into a high cobra. Tops of the feet onto the earth. Shimmy the hips side to side. Lift up through the low belly. Press through the heels of the hands. Soft bend in the elbows as you pull the chest and heart forward. And then exhale, keep the knees on the floor, coming through a gentle cow pose. Bringing the hips back towards the heels. Sink in. Unfurl into your child pose. And then on the next pull forward, you're going to grip down into the earth, round through the back this time. Tuck the tailbone underneath you. Coming into like a cat pose as you come through the center of the mat. And then as you shift the shoulders over top the wrist, the hips begin to fall. Unravel, high cobra. And you get to the top of the mat, pull the hip points up, lift the low belly. Exhale, cow pose. As you lift and reach the sit bones back towards the heels, the back of the mat. And then sit the hips low, child's pose. Inhale, pull forward, coming through cat pose, really rounding through the spine. Pressing up and into the space between the upper back. And then when the shoulders come over top of the wrist, the hips fall. Unravel into that high cobra. Maybe finding a gentle engagement of the back of the hips to really press those hips down and forward. Finding a little bit more opening. Exhale, send the hips back. Moving through cow, and then settling into your child's pose. One more round, pull forward. Rounding through that cat pose. Hips fall. Chest opens towards the front of the mat. Bringing those shoulder blades down the back body, shoulders away from the ears. Finding a little bit more activation, more activity, more strength within this round. And then exhale, moving through a gentle cow pose as the hips come back down towards the heels. Inhale up into a tabletop position. Finding a nice strong and steady table right off the bat. So bringing the belly button in towards the spine. Nice and strong, gazing down between the thumbs. Crown of the head is reaching towards the top of the mat, so the spine is nice and long to start. And then a few structured cat-cows. So on the next inhale, sit bones lift up towards the sky, belly falls. Chest pulls through the shoulders. Gaze up. Or forward, I should say. And then exhale, round. All the way through the upper back, the mid back, the lower back, tailbone tucks under. Inhale, sit bones lift, belly falls, chest pulls through, gaze lifts. Exhale, find that rounding sensation, that space along the back body. Rounding through cat, finishing that exhale. Inhale, cow pose. And you're finding a rolling of the shoulders as you scoop the chest and heart towards the top edge of the mat. Exhale, round. One more round, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, find that neutral spine. And then go ahead and kickstand the right leg over towards the right. Bring the left leg back towards the back edge of the mat. Drop the outer blade of that left foot. And then inhale, sweep the left arm up and overhead as you open the body towards the left side of the room. Coming into gate pose. Strong through that bottom arm. And then we're finding a big reach with that left hand as you bump the left rib cage up towards the sky, really creating space. On the next inhale, go ahead and pop off that right foot. Come up into more of an upright gate pose. And then go ahead and reach the right fingertips up and overhead. Bumping the right hip towards the top of the mat. Opening up through the right side of the body. And then go ahead and start to spin the chest down towards the back corner of your mat. Now where the left foot is, the free space in the back corner. And then reach the fingertips on that diagonal as you bump the right hip still towards the top of the mat. So I can be on that diagonal, maybe reach a little bit closer towards the toes on that left foot. Come back onto that diagonal, go ahead and sweep that right arm up and over as you come into that upright position. Drop that right hand to open back up through the left side body as you reach the left fingertips up and overhead. Go ahead and square the shoulders back down towards the top of the mat. Come onto the back toes. Bring that right foot back to center. Left foot meets the right. Moving on to that other side, so go ahead and kickstand the left foot. Bring the right foot to the back of the mat. Sweep that right arm up and overhead as you reach the fingertips towards the top of the mat, opening into that more of a fallen gate pose or a modified side plank. That right foot's down, pressing the hips forward, keeping them open, stacked on top of one another. Reaching those right fingertips towards the top of the mat, bumping the right rib cage towards the sky so you can really feel that separation between each individual rib, opening up space. Strong through that bottom arm to keep your body nice and lifted. And then sweep that right hand to the back of the mat as you pop off the left hand. Pause into that space, into that more upright position. And then go ahead and reach the left arm up and overhead, reaching towards the back of the mat, opening now through the left side of the body. Keeping those hips squared towards the long edge of the mat. And then go ahead and slowly start to tilt the chest down towards the back of the mat. And again, finding that angle, that free space, that back corner of the mat. And then walking the fingertips out. Maybe you're feeling that in the left side of the body, maybe the inner lining of the right leg. Feel free to stay in that diagonal or walk the fingertips closer towards those toes, depending on the amount of freedom you have within your body to move into this space. Don't force it, stay where you're comfortable. Come back on that diagonal. Right fingertips stay down as you sweep that left arm up and overhead, opening the chest back towards the right side of the room, gate pose. Come back upright, pause, and then tilt the body back down as the left hand comes down to the mat. Right arm sweeps up and overhead, open through that right side body once more. Square down the shoulders. Come onto the back toes. Left leg comes back to that starting point, and then right foot meets the left. Tuck the toes, press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Find a moment of pause to feel the sensation within the back line of the legs, the engagement within the shoulders. And then slowly maybe start to incorporate some movement, pedaling the feet one at a time. And you probably hear that a lot of times in class as you move into your first downward facing dog, is to first pedal out the feet. And that might not hold a lot of weight for you because you've heard it so many times. So feel free to find a little bit more exploration this time around if you typically stick to this same routine every time. Because our body's not going to feel the same every time we show up. So it might need a little bit of different movement, but it's always a really nice place to start. So just play with that for the next few breaths. Play with your space, your shape. On your next inhale, right leg lifts up towards the sky. And then go ahead and bend the right knee and open the hip over towards the right side of the room. So as you reach those right toes back behind you, you're pressing the right hip towards the right side. So that push and pull is helping create some space within that hip. Keeping that left heel grounded. Go ahead and square off the hips. Soft bend in the left knee. Drive the right knee forward to bring the right foot outside the right hand. Shimmy forward and back. Let those hips fall heavy. Stay lifted within the chest, so come up high into the fingertips if you need to do so. Let that weight shift slowly oscillate into a nice steady pause. Drop the back knee, plant the left hand, and bring the right hand to the inner lining of the right knee, and then gently start to open it up. Coming onto the outer blade of the right foot, but staying strong within the ankle. Let that right foot plant. Hands come inside the right foot once more. Bring up the back knee, so coming into that low lunge once more. And then drop the left heel down, allowing that foot to come parallel to the top and the front edge and the back edge of the mat. And then lift that right forearm, onto the right thigh. And just settle into this space for a moment. So maybe coming in and out of that knee slightly. Kind of working our way again, still working our way into the hips, into the strength of the legs. Slowly settle into your shape, keeping that knee in line with the top of the right foot, creating space within the inner lining of the right thigh. And then slowly sweep that left arm up and overhead, spinning the chest over towards the left. Pressing down nice and strong through the right forearm to keep your chest lifted. Hands come back down. Left, right, spin onto the back toes. Pause, let that left heel fall heavy. Right foot comes back to meet the left. Hips up and back, downward facing dog. Moving on to that left side, inhale, left leg lifts. Bend the left knee and then open that left hip over towards the left side of the room. As the toes reach into the space back behind you, the hip point pushes forward. So that push and pull helps create a little bit more opening, more depth, more space. Right heel stays heavy. Arms stay strong. Square off the hips. Keep that knee bent. Soft bend in the right knee as you propel that left foot forward outside the left hand. Find that shimmy, that weight shift right away. Work into your space. Chest stays lifted. And wiggle your way into a nice steady position here. Find your stillness. Drop the back knee nice and slow, keeping that long line of energy. Right hand plants, left hand comes inside the left knee, and slowly encourage it open just a little bit. Coming onto the outer blade of that left foot. Again, ankle staying strong. Try not to let it collapse or sickle in any way. Close it back off, let that left foot plant. Left hand comes inside the left foot, lift up that back knee, and then let the right heel drop. Letting the inner arch fall. And then go ahead and pop up onto that left leg, so left forearm comes up onto the thigh. And again, take a moment to work your way into the hip, into that knee, finding a space that's comfortable for you to maintain and settle there. Keeping that knee tracking over the top of that foot, right down the center. Lifted within the back arch, so we're still staying strong in that back leg, even if it doesn't feel like the focus in this moment. And then gentle press through the left forearm into that left thigh to stay lifted within the left side body, within that shoulder. And then sweep the right arm up and overhead as you spin the chest over towards the right side of the room. Feel how that increases the depth, the space that you're feeling within that inner thigh. Using the core to help encourage that twist, that opening. Feeling that push through the left forearm, that reach through the right fingertips, that lift within the side bodies. Go ahead and square the chest back off. Hands come inside the left foot. Spin onto the back toes. Find that little lunge for a moment. Let that right heel get heavy. Left foot goes back to meet the right. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Bend the knee, open that hip. Just for a moment. Create space with that push and pull. Square the hip, right foot comes up and outside the right hand. Pause in that low lunge. Drop the back knee, plant the left hand. Open up through that right hip. Close it off. Right hand comes back down. Lift the back knee. Find that low lunge and then drop the back heel. Come on up into your side angle right away. Maybe straighten that right leg for just a moment and then find that depth. Spin and open towards the left side angle. Keeping those hips pushing forward. Keeping that lift within the torso. Come on down. Squaring the hips. And then go ahead and reach that right arm forward. Settle into your hips once more. And then maybe trying to spin onto the outer blades of both feet. Staying high and lifted, coming into high horizon lunge. Feeling that opening within the outer edges of both hips as they kind of scissor underneath you. Pulling the right hip back, left hip forward. Come on back. Plant the right hand. Right foot meets the left. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, bend the left knee, open up. Find that hip opener for just a moment. Square it off. Left foot comes forward outside the left hand. Pause in that low lunge. Stay lifted. Drop the back knee straight down. Plant the right hand, left hand inside the left knee. Open up. Come on back. Left hand plants. Lift the back knee. Spin the right heel down. Pop up onto that left thigh. Make that connection. Feel that lift. Right arm sweeps forward and up overhead as you spin the chest. Keep that lift. Keep that strength. Keep the hips pressing forward. Come on down, spin the chest towards the mat, hands plant. Pause in that low lunge. Reach that left arm forward, tuck that left rib cage in as best you can. And then keep that reach of the left arm as you spin onto the outer blades of both feet, coming into high horizon lunge, staying lifted. And your chest might not be able to spin all the way over towards the left, that's okay. It might still be facing toward the top left corner of the mat, that's okay. Maybe you're able to pull that right hip underneath you a little bit more. Keeping that left knee open, maybe feel that sensation a little bit deeper. Maybe you're able to get a little bit further into that twist. Don't force it. Close it all off. Left hand plants, left foot to meet the right. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Find that hip opener. Square it off. Right foot comes outside the right hand. Low lunge. Drop the back knee. Left hand plants. Bring that right hand inside the right knee. Maybe finding a little bit more space. Maybe you're able to sink a little bit deeper into your shape. Come on back, right hand plants. Lift the back knee, spin the back heel down. Come up onto that right thigh, right into side angle. Sweep that left arm up and overhead. Spin the chest. Left hand comes down. Right hand comes down, find that low lunge. Reach the right arm forward, tuck that right rib cage in. And slowly start to spin open towards the right. Come out to outer blades of both feet, nice and strong within the outer blades, keeping you lifted. Opening up through the outer hips. Slowly close everything off, pause in that low lunge. And then drop the back heel once more. Shift your weight back into that left foot, bending through that left knee as you straighten through the right leg. Keeping those fingertips planted inside that right foot. It's almost like you're coming into a ninja type stance, like you're getting ready for a little combat stance here. Sinking into that left hip, that left knee. Keeping that left knee open. Giving yourself some space to settle in. Working through the back line of that right leg, the inner lining of that right leg. Come back forward. Spin onto the back toes, plant the hands. Right foot comes back to meet the left. Downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Bend the knee, open the hip. Square it off, left foot comes outside the left hand. Plant it. Settle into that low lunge right away. Falling heavy into that right heel, creating space and length in front of that right hip. Drop the back knee. Plant the right hand, left hand inside left knee, open it up. Close it off. Left hand plants, lift the back knee. Drop the back heel. Pop up on top of that left thigh. Maybe straighten for a moment. Then commit to that front knee as you spin open towards the right, side angle. Close it off, hands plant inside that left foot, come onto the back toes. Pause in the lunge. And then strong through the right arm. Reach the left arm forward. Spin onto the outer blades of both feet. Stay lifted in the hips as you scoop that right hip underneath the left. Keeping that reach forward. Opening up through the left rib cage, really creating space for yourself to move. Come on back. Find that low lunge. Drop the back heel once more. Keep the fingertips inside that left foot. And then you're gonna straighten through the left leg as you bend through the right leg. So you're kind of teeter-tottering from front to back of the mat. Keeping that right knee driving open as you sink into that right hip. And coming into, maybe it's not more of a ninja, maybe it's more of like a Spider-Man type position here, where you're creating space within the back line of the legs, but also within the hips, the sides of the body. Maybe into the shoulders, the back body a little bit as well. Just exploring new space. Come back forward, hands plant, spin onto the back toes. Pause. Left foot meets the right. Downward facing dog. And then drop the knees. Keeping those toes tucked, kind of what we did in the beginning of class. Knees slightly wider than the hips, and slowly start to send your hips back towards your heels. Coming into a variation of child's pose, so fingertips are still reaching towards the top of the mat. Slowly making your way into that space. Inhale, come forward. Maybe find a little bit more space between the knees. Maybe they come a little bit wider towards the edges of the mat, and then sink hips to heels once more. Exhale, settle. Inhale, come forward. Bring the knees a little bit wider. Maybe untuck the toes this time. Hips to heels. Noticing the sensation with every round as the knees come a little bit wider and wider. Inhale, come forward. Maybe as you get wider, you need your hands a little bit closer to shift your weight. Knees come maybe beyond the edges of the mat. And then exhale, sink the hips towards your heels, settle down. And as you come into this space with your knees beyond the edges of the mat, maybe you come down onto your forearms. Allowing your body to settle into this space. Allowing your hips to come toward the heels in some capacity. Now, where you are in this moment is more of a variation of tadpole than frog. But if you're open to exploring the sensation of frog, if you would like to have a blanket, you can go ahead and add that in now. Depending on the surface that you're on, it might allow for a little bit more comfort within the knees as they come nice and wide. And it may provide a better surface to decrease the friction as you come in and out of this space. So if you'd like to use that, go ahead and get yourself set up so that the blanket just comes beyond the edges of the mat. And then you can either stay in tadpole, which is the knees coming really wide, but the toes are coming to touch. So you're able to work your way into the inner lining of the thighs with a more manageable intensity, if you will. But if you're looking to explore frog today, come up onto the forearms to bring your weight forward. Bring the toes away from one another so that the inner lining of the feet are now on the floor. So again, another benefit of having a blanket is if that's uncomfortable to have the ankle bones, the feet on the floor in this capacity, just provides a little bit of comfort. And so having the ankles below the knees, big toes facing away from one another, Here's your opportunity to explore frog. So it brings quite a bit of depth, quite a bit of intensity to the inner thighs. And so it's nice to stay a little bit more supported, so you're lifted on the forearms. And feel free to shift your weight, your hips forward and back. The further forward you are, the less intense that sensation will be. The lower your hips are, the more in line with the knees, or even lower. So the closer you come to that alignment within the knees, you're going to feel that sensation intensify quite a bit. So find a spot that is accessible for you to feel the sensations you're looking for, but in an intensity that you're able to manage, to maintain. And close your eyes here, or even just soften your gaze. To keep the focus inward, to check in with yourself, with your body. There's a lot of things to feel here in this moment, in this shape. So see if you're holding on to tension anywhere else in the body, anywhere else that doesn't serve you here in this moment. Anything that's preventing you or keeping you from truly accessing the space that you have in your body. And if this becomes intense at any point in time, always feel free to transition back to tadpole. And if that's something that you're looking to do, just finding a gentle press through the forearms to take enough weight out of the lower body to free up the shins, to bring the toes back towards one another. And if you do transition there, you'll find that you might have a little bit more space to shift your weight back, hips to heels. Wherever you choose to be, just 3 more breaths here. Make them nice and big, nice and slow. Wherever you are, go ahead and come up onto your hands, bringing them underneath you enough to slowly bring those knees back towards one another. And then go ahead and nice and slow find your way on to your belly. Forehead to the backs of the hands, and then slowly just start to shimmy the hips side to side. Allow those front of the hips to open nice and softly, nice and gently. That position can feel pretty extreme, so counter movement might not necessarily, like a big hip opener might not be necessary. Something soft and subtle, and something as easy as being on your belly can give you everything you need. And taking this time to come back to your breath. With every inhale, as you feel your belly filling up, you feel the space being created within the back of the rib cage. And if being in frog was something that was pretty intense for you, maybe sending that energy, sending that breath into your hips as you settle into this nice, soft, easy space. Sending your breath there to help let go of any tension that's still lingering in that space. Just allowing the body to surrender into your mat, into the earth. Knowing that all the work here in today's class is complete. And this is your opportunity, your final few moments of rest, of breath. Feel free to stay in this space here. Maybe if you want to find a moment of compression, you send your hips back into child's pose for a few breaths to close off today's practice. If that compression is something that feels good for you, maybe you want to stay open, laying on your belly. Take this opportunity to find any final posture, any position of rest and recovery that suits you, that is calling you here in this moment. Otherwise, that is all I have for you today. I'm going to leave you in your final position of rest for another 5 to 10 breaths to really settle into your space. Again, thank you so much for practicing with me, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Have an awesome rest of your day.